We've got Mateus, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Yes.
All righty then. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's slow this down a wee bit. We've got Frantic Tim, that is the Tim you know, and CL, who you may not know. Not 100% sure who that is, but also around 2K rated. We've also got Chat Off. That's what we've got as well. We've also got Mateus and MBL. Mateus is Melkor. You may know him as that, but I'm going to call him Mateus today. He's been using that name for a long time. So Mateus and MBL coming in a little lower rated, but I do think it will be a nice 2v2 team game. You can see Mateus and MBL will be a lot closer together. Well, closer to each other than they are to their opponents. Both teams actually clustered on the far sides of the map. That could mean that this could be a long, drawn-out match. We'll see. But it will be Turks and Persians on both sides for this one. That should be really nice. And I'm just going to adjust the sound here a little bit. Turn the sound down just a fraction. Yeah, so Turks versus Persians on both sides. We've got Turks for Tim. We've got Persians for MBL. So it's a mirror game, but each player is going to have their own non-mirror matchup. If you go straight across the map here, you are going to be fighting versus a non-mirror opponent. Okay, how are we doing on frames per second? Oh, it's lovely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's Killer B. Welcome, welcome. Just watching a random live elite game on Voobly. 3 vills onward early for Tim as Turks. Turks kind of end up being a civ where you almost always have to go scouts. You don't have to, but you almost always do. But we'll see. We'll see how this particular game goes. MBL Persians on the other side is walling up as we speak, taking deer on his side of the map. 4 vills on wood. Interesting. Oh, those are 4 vills from Mateus. Mateus has a long way to go to get to his wood line. Oh, sweet Jesus. MBL on his side will have 3 vills on wood. He's doing an extreme amount of walling, considering how early it is in the game, but he will wall mostly toward the TC. And that will protect him against raiding somewhat. Man, this is a lot of walling, though. MBL walling a ton. Blue player Frantic CL is also doing a crap load of walling. So we've got a bunch of walling on this side of the map as well. Let me pause this for a moment and just see, is anybody out there? It's Salty. Salty's out there. Salty's sending me messages here. Just want to make sure that everything looks good on the stream, on the overlay here. How does it look? Yeah, it looks fine. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, we've got... okay, so CL here is also doing a pretty significant amount of walling. He's got a relatively wallable map. Both guys trying to do a bit of team walling, I would say, for the later game. Mine's going scouts, says Mateus. Looks like we will see Tim going with a stable here early and probably going into some scouts. Green player has just walled up. He will also build some scouts, but he's walling himself in rather intensely. And oh, sweet Jesus, these guys want to play a game that is going to last an hour and a half. Everybody's walling their balls off. One Turks player here, Mateus, will go double ranges. How's his gold income look? How's his gold income look? There it is, 4 vills on gold. So he's going to probably pump out double range archers by sending a few more vills over to gold as we continue to work our way through the feudal age. Mateus is a little bit open still, even though he and his teammate have done a ton of walling. He is going to have to get a spear or 2 into the action to defend against CL's aggression. A couple more scouts coming from Tim, and those are going to head basically straight toward the red player because they have to. MBL has walled himself in, I think, completely here, and that really does put the onus on Mateus to get himself walled in. He's done a decent job, but he's still open in the back corner, and he's still open here on the front. Let's see. Everybody is going to this part of the map. We could see this villager go down, but it doesn't look like we will. Green player will get out of dodge. He and his teammate, CL. CL and Tim here are going to basically have 5 scouts each running through the back of this eco. Wow, really interesting engagement. I think that's an accidental engagement from CL. He lost 2 scouts there for free. Spearmen and archers are not really what you want to be going at when you have scouts. Nice thing for Tim is that his scouts are roaming into the back of this eco. How do you wall your balls off? That's a really good question. Hey, Reaper. Yeah, we've got Tim roaming in the back, hoping to find a juicy villager to pick off. Actually, Mateus moving a vill from the weaker part of that wood line over to the other side. He could be in a bit of hot water here. I do expect a villager to go down. But in the long run, I'm not sure that this is the type of raiding that Tim needs to get done. Obviously, grabbing a vill for free is really nice. And he is keeping his opponent, Mateus, at home. But yeah, I mean, a spearman carved off from this group hanging out on this wood line would pretty much be GG to these scouts. Here comes MBL to try to deal with Tim's aggression. Tim will try to run in and snipe another villain. He will. Tim will get 2 villagers out of this. Not bad at all, considering how much attention he's garnering right now. Continued walling on the front from Mateus, and on the far edge of the map, he still has not closed himself in. He and MBL have spent a lot of time walling, but unfortunately, they haven't quite got the job done. They're going to be fine for the late game, but they are pushing out with their respective armies. Looks like the red player, Mateus, will go to his opponent, who is Persians. This player has a couple vills on stone rather early, has a few towers around his base to deal with those archers. Seems like a good strategy to me. Not a very thick wood line here, so keep that in mind. Could be a place that could be raided a bit later on. But we continue to see, basically, Mateus trying to go around the map and get some damage in. I don't see anywhere that he's going to do that, especially with continued towers coming from CL. Oh boy, this is really bad. Running right through the middle of TC Arrowfire, Tower Arrowfire, and now another tower goes up. Some quick walling here from the blue player, and oh my god, Mateus will lose his entire army. He's going to leave that gauntlet that he just ran -8 archers, and he's going to have 2 spearmen left. Oh, that is absolutely the worst that could happen. And these spearmen can do nothing. I mean, these guys couldn't kill a villager as a team. They couldn't kill a single villager now. So CL here getting an incredible amount of damage in. Wow, that's so surprising to me. But Mateus just running right through the gauntlet there. Holy shit. Tim on the other side is very happily inside of his walls, taking gold, starting to reinforce those walls with a couple of houses, adding in a second stable. Let's see what the resources look like. Mateus at the moment not going up anytime soon. CL will go up any moment. MBL's got a little bit of time left, and Tim has just clicked up. So it looks like both of the frantic fellas will be up first. Tim is still sending scouts into the back of the eco, and MBL has had to be incredibly defensive with his scouts. Which is basically not the way that he wants to be. If you do all this work to wall, you don't want to have to also do a bunch of work to defend. Blue players' scouts are still forward, and like I said, both frantic guys will be Castle Age first, and that seems to be coming to fruition. And man, Mateus losing an entire army of archers has to be kicking himself. Has to be kicking himself at this point. On the other side of the coin, you could say to CL, nice job towering up your area. He's done a really good job to be basically archer-proof. This front wood line is still weak, but he could transition to the back if he needs to. Man, that was ugly. How strong is Red? He plays like a suicidal person. Yeah, hey Hollery Doodle. Hey Reaper. Yeah, I mean, Mateus here is a strong player, but that was not a strong play. Happens to the best of us, I suppose. Actually, I'm the opposite. Occasionally I make a strong play, but not usually. Castle Age coming. Looks like we will see the blue player on one stable for the time being. That will be CL. CL is going to be booming up a bit. He's got towers everywhere. Can probably drop a castle somewhat soon, I would guess. Let's see. 300 stone. Continuing to mine stone as he goes to castle. He is grabbing scale barding armor. Tim on the other side, as Turks, has double stables down. He wants to keep his scouts alive if he can, but I don't think he did. Yeah, Tim's just got 2 military left. Keeping those scouts alive is nice. You get that upgrade for free, but not going to happen in this particular case. Looks like pretty much all of the green units are off of the map. Let's see what happens on this side. It's going to be a second TC. And for Tim, it will be double stable knights. Is that really so surprising? Not really at all. Chain barding armor on the way. So those are going to be really beefy, really powerful knights. We've got a TC coming down in the middle. MBL trying to do some raiding. Towers on both sides, lobbing in some arrows. This is not the greatest situation. MBL hasn't killed a vill yet here. He probably will. I hope he will, but he is going to lose a lot of HP on his scouts. He has Persians after all. It's not like he's going to wait and upgrade those anytime soon. Got a Vil, got in, did some damage, at least has something to his name. Also forced CL to make a camel. CL's going 1 stable camels. 1 stable camels can be almost as good as 2 stable knights. So, you know, a little defensive play here, a little 3 TC, boom up and build up sort of for the blue player CL. Tim on the other side will have double stable knights, and he's slowly building in a 2nd and 3rd TC. I expect that he will pump maybe 8 or 10 knights and then kind of slow a little bit down to build up his economy, but we'll see. Shinchi's here, booyah, booyah. Yeah, we've got continued movement across the map from Tim. Tim's going to get into MBL's base. These palisades aren't going to do too much, but MBL does have camels coming out to defend himself. Town Center coming on the front for Mr. MBL. He's got 3 TCs down. He can defend against knights pretty nicely. He's got enough camels here that I don't think Tim is going to really want to take this fight. Camels don't have the upgrades that the knights do, but you don't want to fight knights versus camels. Well, I guess you do if you're Tim. Tim is willing to stand toe-to-toe while he sends in more and more reinforcing knights. He is just going to try to roll over his opponent, roll right through those counter units. MBL's got a couple more scouts on the other side. Mateus, who is now up, going Bodkin Arrow and Crossbowman. We haven't seen anything from the blue player who's going Monastery Siege Workshop right now. Has a market down. We'd have to think that CL, who's been basically in a full-on boom, has to be in pretty good shape. 57 total Vils at the moment, adding in the Monastery to defend against potential Knight raiding. Siege Workshop Mangonel to defend against the Archers. Pretty nice, safe location, but I don't like this wood line at all. For now, it doesn't matter. Tim is able to keep 2 of the opponents busy at the same time. You'd have to think Tim might have had a moment of idle TC. 3 TCs and double stable knights is not that easy to keep going. It's a little hard to stretch your resources quite that thin. But Tim, for the moment, continuing to crank out units. He is basically able to grab relics, able to take over some map control. MBL's trying to boom up as well. We can see that he's on 52 Vils, but he's fallen quite a ways behind CL. Mateus is kind of the player who's going to be the offensive player on this team for now. MBL booming a bit. Red player here does have a nice group of crossbows. You'll remember from a few moments ago that he lost a lot of units for really cheap running through this gauntlet of towers. Now we have stone walls and we have a mangonel in defense. We'll see. It does look like the red player will be here in time. Mateus can get here through these walls, but it might be his last chance with this army to get something done. Blue player's got double mangonels. CL at the moment is not really queuing units to fight his opponent off. He's going to cling to this hill and hope for a good mangonel shot. Mateus can totally redeem himself here if he can climb this hill and take these mangonels out. I think he has a good chance. A couple of nice splits. Looks like the mangonels will go down. Splitting, splitting, splitting. Doing a great job, actually, to hide the pickle. Will take a glancing blow, but in the end, we'll take both of those mangonels out. How much damage can you do when your opponent has this many towers? That's a really good question. But Mateus will walk in with a rather unscathed army. Nice job taking down those 2 mangoes. Got to give some props here. He is kind of wandering, not sure where to go. But nice micro versus the mangonel. Not able to punish CL just yet. CL's got too many towers and too many TCs. But no army really to speak of. In the meantime, those units do head south toward Tim's base. Tim has some camels and some knights mixed in. MBL is now on the offensive. Couple scouts trying to annoy. He's also got some units on the front. A whole crapload of camels. Yeah, I mean, camels and archers here are going to do really great against knights if they play together. Right now, we've got Mateus on his own, kind of trying to work his way into the base of Tim. Yeah, all in all, MBL and Mateus making a little bit of a push here, but critically, I think important is 160 Vils on one side of the map, 140 on the other. It's a pretty big difference. We've also got some relics being grabbed. We've got a couple extra TCs. This Persian player in blue is in full bloom. Full boom. Also, he's in full bloom. He's virgin in full bloom, as they say. A little saturated on this wood line. Eventually, we'll chop through that wood line, which is worth noting. But I do think this player, if unchecked, is going to really wreak havoc in the Imperial Age. For now, we've got... Oh, man, what do we have? The gates are locked. The gates are open for a moment, but just the camels get in. The crossbowmen are still on the outside. Monk's trying to grab a couple conversions here. Boy, this is a clusterfuck of a fight. It is green versus teal. Green Knights with a couple of camels going to camp out under this TC. MBL is in, and he can't get out now, but he can help his teammate try to bust down the walls. Tim right now definitely playing 2v1, and he's doing a decent job so far of keeping himself somewhat safe. But there is only so much time you can play 2v1 before you're really going to be hurt. Nice job reinforcing. More camels being added to the mix. Tim would lose a few vills here. But again, I don't think it's the end of the world. Oh, Tim with a sneaky mangonel. Shot rains in. That shot will mostly miss. But in the end, it will be MBL kind of trapped inside. I was hoping MBL would leave a camel to keep the gate open so that his teammate in red could get in. Mango still firing off shots. Mateus will click up to Imp first. Oh boy, this is turning into an interesting game. Turning into an interesting game. Tim here is mostly rectifying his base. Let's just go ahead and put Tim in our point of view, and we can see how many knights he has. Yeah, you can see most of this army is still his. He's lost a wood line to MBL, but critically, he's trapped all of MBL's army. Mateus is still trying to break through the walls, but it's taking him quite some time. Mangonel will pop out in a moment, and we'll see if Tim can continue to play 2v1 on this side. Blue player on the other side has a castle down. We'll probably start to, well, let's not assume. Let's just go ahead and look. He's got to start building some units. At the moment, nothing coming out of the castle, nothing coming out of the stable. 2 military units, still letting his teammate play 2v1 on the side. Critically, I keep saying critically, but Camels continuing to roll in. Nice defensive play from Tim. You got to give him some props here. I mean, he's still on 85 vills. He's not dead, not even close to dead. He's starting to really dwindle Mateus' army with a couple good shots. Villager coming into repair at the last moment. MBL's got some camels still roaming in here. This is a dangerous point for Tim, but you got to give him some credit, man. He's really defended this nicely, adding in triple ranges at the moment. We will see Tim rolling out with hand cannons. Tim's going to have hand cannons. He is in the Imperial Age, and he's going to be able to cut through these camels. And all in all, we've seen a lot of effort from MBL and Mateus, but not a lot of damage. MBL will get out of dodge. He will be walled out of dodge after this, and the team wall for the Frantic team is starting to look pretty nasty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stables coming down for the blue player who will hit Imperial Age soon. And CL has had a lot of time, man. The onus is on him to do something now. Can you put in the relic count? Relics at the moment. Two relics for Tim, and he's gotten 400 gold off of those. No relics for anybody else at the moment. Let's see, we've got Cavalier on the way, another stable coming. That will make 7 total, 6 here in the initial one. We've also got a Siege Workshop coming on the front. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see a big push coming from CL. CL has been free booming all game, and he is now... It's now his turn to do something on the offensive. And how can Mateus hold against a player who's on 149 vills? Jesus, and hasn't had to build really any military yet. I think once he really gets his military build rolling, it's going to be impossible to stop. I mean, even if he's a little bit ineffective with his targeting, it's just going to be so hard to stop this many units and this big of an economy. In the meantime, the pressure is off of Tim. He's on 93 vills, trying to recover. Tim's building out hand cannons and bombard cannons with a couple of camels here and there. Playing as Turks, as everybody knows, the strongest civ in the game. And yeah, I mean that jokingly, but it's fine. I like it. I can win with Turks. We've got a pretty decent position for the Frantic team, pumping out Cavalier versus just regular old Camel. MBL will go Cavalier as well. He's not going to just stand with counters all day. He is going to build an offensive army while he can. Hand cannons and bombard cannons still rolling toward the middle of the map. Heavy Camel in for Mateus.
Yes.
So Mateus has had a bit of a transition. He's been working hard to build up archers. And now he's switched to Heavy Camel, which is a nice counter to his opponent CL. It does leave him a little bit weak to the hand cannons of the green player Tim, which are slowly roaming to the top of the map. But for now, those camels, along with a couple of units from MBL, should run right over this army. barracks coming in. We may see some halbs added into the mix here. Well, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening, but we do see Paladin coming for CL and Heavy Camel. Wow. Going Heavy Camel and Paladin at the same time. You know you've got some money in the bank if you can go both of those at the same time. Hand cannons rolling in, and these hand cannons are just going to start shredding some camels. Oh, sweet Jesus. We're going to see 5 camels die for free on this side. Granted, MBL not upgrading those. He's not super committed to them, but yeah, hand cannon's just running roughshod over camels right now. Paladin will be in soon. CL is still going Heavy Camel and Paladin. He's going to have a nice mixed army, but a really expensive set of upgrades. More hand cannons coming forward.
Yes.
Markets coming up in the corners for both the red and blue and green player, rather. MBL on his side does have a market down. He wants Mateus to establish this corner, and he does have stone walls up for the moment. Paladin's already knocking on the front door. Castle's coming in. This trade line is not going to last long. Hand cannons and Paladin is a really tough combination to fight against. Mateus at the moment, mostly Heavy Camel from what I can see. That's not going to cut the mustard in this particular case. Lots of Cavalier coming from MBL. I guess the goal is going to be for these guys to overwhelm their opponents. But, man, it is going to be an uphill battle. There are going to be Bombard Cannons, Hand Cannons, and Paladin. With Rams, with a Castle, this is a real push here on the front. It's almost as though Tim and CL are actually too early. They're here ready to raid the trade before trade has even begun. Some panic, quick walling here from Mateus, trying to hold the line. Lots of hand cannons just lobbing in gunpowder from a distance. Trade cards from MBL are going to nowhere. MBL sent a few trade cards out. There isn't even a market on this corner. Trade on the other side is being established, and there is a fortified stone wall over most of that side of the map. This is looking really bad, but we will at least see MBL get up to Paladin. Oh my god, Elite War Elephant and Mahoots coming for CL. Holy sweet Jesus. Is this a dream? Is this real life? We're going to see some elephants coming out here too. Wow. CL going with Elite Elephant to take on those Cavalier from MBL. Cannon shots still rolling in. Camels will retreat for the moment. We've got quite a few Bombard Towers starting to roll into the mix. And man, oh man, the War Elephants continue to come out. MBL's Paladins for now a little bit stymied, and now that Heavy Camel investment looks like a great investment. Heavy Camel's rolling in from CL. He's going to start knocking down some of these Paladin. And this is looking like it has to be nearly over. Mateus trying to hold the line with Camels and Bombard Towers. I think it's a really nice choice. He has gotten a few markets down to trade with MBL. But this trading distance is not ideal. It's only about 2/3 of the map, which is going to really not yield the money that they need. In the meantime, we've got more and more trade rolling out for Tim and CL. Tim's got more hand cannons coming forward. He will start adding in Bombard Towers to basically protect his base and the trade. A couple Paladins from MBL trying to do some raiding, but Heavy Camel are nearby, so that is not going to help very much. Mateus is going to make monks now. That's the proper counter to Elite War Elephants. You can't beat them. You might as well convert them. But it is probably going to be a really difficult task. He's going to need to get quite a few monks up very quickly. And those monks are going to have to be bulletproof monks, because hand cannoneers will be lobbing in shells at them from a distance. These Bombard Towers are an incredibly nice investment from Tim in the late game. Your trade is always going to be pressured and raided in a team game. Tim here is just going to start to build out a castle on the hill. Maybe he'll build some bombards over here. In the end, actually this is all blocked by a wood line. But in the end, the safer your trade is, the more likely you're going to win. Huge advantage right now for Tim and CL. They're up by 1,400 points, but it might be a little bit, might be a little more than that in reality. A game with War Elephants is a great game. Indeed, good to see some War Elephants rolling out. Blue player CL had a free boom early on. He's up to 161 vills. He's essentially pop capped. He's on 192. He's grabbing a few more War Elephants here and there. But he seems to be just having fun at this point in the game. Tim on the other side is taking a huge fight with MBL while we were looking away. Castle Arrow Fire lobbing in. We've also got the Barn Towers lobbing in shots. We've got a Mangonel here as well. For the most part, MBL running over this army, though. Lots of Paladin here from MBL. A couple monks in the action. One conversion there. But yeah, MBL for the most part here making a pretty major push with a large section of his gold army. This is a really important group of units. He did run in and do quite a lot of damage. Tim, though, will just continue to build up that forward. More stables coming there on the front. For now, MBL cannot get through the walls. Fortified walls have not even been challenged. A lot of Paladin here from MBL and a couple of Trebs to go along with it. Though Mateus looks to be in a little rough shape, it does seem like MBL is going to build up a big army and make a big push. 52 military units for him, and it looks essentially like most of those are Paladin. 52 Paladin, can't be quite that many, but quite a lot of Paladin for MBL. Ready to push in against his opponent. Trade is going fast and furious. Again, it's just 2/3 of the map, maybe even half of the map. But you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to work with what you're given. Still some mineable resources left here for Tim. We've got long-distance trading going for Tim's team. We can look at trade profit here as we move forward. Looks like slowly CL will take over some territory, but Mateus will continue to build bombard towers. To try to hold the line, relics have been grabbed by both Mateus and MBL, but it will be Tim who's collected the most relic gold. Trade amount looks to be actually pretty similar, I would say. Not a huge difference. But trade cards just starting to roll out, and we'll see if MBL can sever the main vein of trade with his paladins here. We will have to find out if he can get in. Huge investment there from him. Does knock down the castle with a couple trebs. Does have a little bit of momentum here versus Tim. Castle is down. A little bit of a push coming in. Tim, who's got Turks, who are a really tenacious late game civ, is in a bit of hot water. He had a lot of hand cannons here. They seem to have been dissipated or maybe even killed. And now we've got Tim on 163 pop. The problem is, though, Mateus is on 81. Mateus is having a lot of trouble. He's got elephants roaming through his eco. When elephants are raiding through your economy, it's like, what in the hell is this world all about? Trade cards are in some trouble. Your trade is slow, says MBL. Trade caravan being upgraded at the moment. But it is Paladin and War Elephant doing a lot of damage to Mateus. Just not a good game. Oh, Mateus there was on 88 kill death. Oh, I'm so wrong reading this. He's got 160 vills, 21 military. So he's still in it. He is getting raided a bit. My apologies. Got to get myself in order. But a little extra gold here on the corner that is not going to be taken. And we still have a fight on our hands, man. Score totals are still about 1700 apart. Trebs for MBL on the front still doing good damage. He's got a lot of Paladin there. Mostly we see Hussar. Are there some camels mixed in here? What do we got here? Yeah, Hussar, heavy camel, and hand cannons for Tim, who's trying to build bombard towers to hold the line. For now, Tim is holding the line on this side. It looks like one of these games where CL is going to try to win before his teammate Tim loses. Mateus doing a really good job to hold the line. Losing a lot of buildings, but for the moment is still floating on 160 vills. Military count is quite low, but he's still alive. He's still fighting. Still trading with MBL. Really important for MBL to have a lot of gold eco. Villagers, though, no longer able to mine gold on that side of the map. Tim is almost mined out of his gold as well. We will continue to see trash being added in. Looks like it's going to be Halbs from the blue player CL as he moves forward with really essentially no gold left in the bank. MBL's gold is all from trade. Tim is going to hold 1,000 gold, but Mateus is going to hold 2,000 gold. Oh, sweet Jesus. 2k gold can be spent really quickly, but Mateus seems to be hoarding it a little bit for the late game. We'll see what he decides to add in. Right now, Halb's roaming into his economy to do quite a bit of harassment. A little bit like a fly at a barbecue, just annoying you, making you idle some vills, maybe killing a couple of units here and there, but mostly just a battle of attrition on that side of the map. MBL is not thinking about attrition on the other side. He's thinking about dominance. Rolling in with Trebs, adding in Rams, has a ton of Paladin. We've got Pikemen added in from MBL, actually, roaming forward to take on these heavy camel. There's not a lot of pikes there, but he's really going to dwindle a lot of camels down. They do not deal with pikes nearly as well as Paladin will. Hand cannon's still doing damage from a distance. Tim is still keeping this side afloat, but it does look like MBL will have a serious push coming soon. We've got bombard cannons from CL coming in. CL is going to lob in quite a bit of damage, taking down a TC, doing as much as he can, but a lot of bombard towers still from Mateus. The trade is still relatively safe. We could see units run into the heart of the trade, past all those towers, but for now, we've seen a slow push forward. Let's see if these Paladin run past all of this nonsense, all of this malarkey, and just right into the meat of this economy that's totally undefended. Now it looks like for now they will stand pat in the middle, and it's going to be a slow and steady push from CL. CL making a push while MBL makes a push. Hand cannons for Tim here really could get into the action and do a lot of damage while the walls are still somewhat up. Those cannons are going to, they're going to number about 15 or 20. There's not that many units there. MBL can steamroll this eventually, but he's going to choose to slowly come forward with more trebs. Heavy camel coming from Tim. He can cap this off if he gets those camels in, trying to frantically drop a castle. Frantic Tim doing some frantic castle dropping just outside the range of those trebs for now. More heavy camel coming in, and that side is still being held. The other side is still being held as well. Mateus adding in more and more heavy camel. He's lost some vills, but he's doing fine. MBL has deleted some vills, I would guess. His villager number dropping way down. Tim's starting to make a little bit of a rolling push on MBL's side of the map. Interestingly, these two armies don't want to fight. They want to push into each other's economy. Tim's holding this pretty nicely. I think he's in a fine position, but we'll see. I mean, these cannons have to be kept alive. They're really expensive units, very powerful. Can't afford to lose those for free. We've got a lot of camels here from Mateus, but that number seems to be dwindling due to the trash of CL. CL continuing to just spam forward halbs just to keep his opponent on the defensive. Mateus has lost a lot. He's played defensive really the entire game, and now he's got about 25 Paladin about to be breathing down his neck. And like I said, you know, these players don't know, because how could they? But if those Paladin were to run into the back of this area, you know, take some damage on the way by, but just run all the way through to the trade, it would be GG for sure. But in this case, they're actually going to run out. MBL saying GG because we don't have a corner. Mateus will agree. Actually, GG also coming in because of CL's ability to probably flip this fight. MBL is probably going to be 2v1 there for quite some time. Trash push coming forward along with some gunpowder was too much for Mateus. Mateus there with a little bit of an early game blunder, losing a lot of archers in the feudal age for free. In the end, full boom for CL. Great defense from Tim, and a really nice win for the frantic guys in this 2v2. If we pop through the statistics, let's go on to the achievements here. I just want to see how much trade MBL and Mateus probably lost due to not having a corner. I don't mean to sound like negative or anything, because it's not that big of a deal. You know, you have to play the game that you're playing. Like, sometimes your opponent loses a corner. What are you going to do? You're going to yell at them or something? No. But it is important to see what the difference is. And here, the difference will be approximately 3.5, maybe 4K total gold that Tim and his teammate CL were able to take over Mateus and MBL. GG, well played. We'll jump into the next one, and let's do it.